Kasi akong giset no ang recording so that okay. So kaning sa globalization class no inevitably we cannot actually help to ato pugungan ang pagtubo or kaning pagsaka no, in the aspect of technology. Dili ta kapugong niya na no as we live our life day by day, everything becomes unpredictable because of the presence of technology. So in a political aspect, where people are actually interacting in a community, yeah, so there is an influence, no? Everything has an influence. Like, for example, in terms of structure, no? Economic structure or can be called society, the structures of the society. So the people are actually very man kana nga sa ilang endeavor no dili lang kay ato ang understanding about politics kani mga tao nga naa sa gobyerno dili lang kana no the interaction and kanibang interaction at the same time the influence no coming from different people no kanang the ways na mag-influence of other people, that's also politics. So ang nahitabo class mo sit and din yung gitawag na pluralism no coming from kanang gitawag na homogeneous community, masagulan ano dili malikayan nga masagulan na taong lain nga mga culture no. So it is very understandable no nga sa usa ka community we have specific set of norms, we are bound with kanang pag-adapt na to ana or kaning gitawag na to og pagsunod no atong gisundod atong sundugon ba no pareha ng TikTok no ay uban lain na ning mga TikTok na mga TikTok nga binastos na mga TikTok nga kanang mga hinanggaw na mga joke na TikTok about kaon so daghan kaayo no. That's just an example. I just cite an example. Now, influence actually happens no, in a matter of seconds, just a single snap of your finger. Now, what about in the aspect of economics? Now, economics is actually a bigger factor, no, in the globe, no, a bigger factor in the life of many. Good morning, sir. Good morning, ma'am, sir. So, ang hitabuan in the economical aspect, of course, we cannot help, no? We cannot help to control about the economic competition, and that really happens. Pareha gud karon no if we are to understand about kaning influence sa China karon no in terms of economics grabe kay ilang paglambo no they actually shock the world no nga inana ang ilang pagkalit na paglambo and at the same time of course they are actually right now no they are kanibang they started to conquer no though it's not obvious but they started to conquer dili lang kaning gitawag nato sa mga territorial disputes but also sa pandaigdigang ekonomiya or kaning gitawag nato competition in the aspect of trades. Grabe kayo no. So mo na nga we cannot that becomes the challenge to ethics. Why? Very specific no knowing that the ethics is the highest standard of morality. Now, talking about morality, of course, there are things no nga kung ato ang himay-himayon to understand there are things that are do's and don'ts. So meaning to say na mga bawal na mga dili bawal. Or to make the long story short no we are bound with rules no nga kinahanglan to i-follow. Okay, I will continue. So communities across the world now function in what is fundamentally a shared space, although divided into artificial political condominiums called nation states. So muna to no, ang akong explain na nowadays everything becomes possible. We can talk to other people. We can interrelate no to the other people. No? We can migrate to other countries, and everything becomes possible because of the product of technology. Good morning, Ma'am Nams. Sorry sa unreplied messages. Tama ba? Nag-basket ko kay gamay na kong tiyan. So, now we talk about pluralism. Sorry. Diri class na ingon diri class no nga in a globalized era, people and communities across the world have become culturally in a globalized era. Kasi may pasabot aning globalized era pas mo to no ang gi-discuss no. There is an influence, there is an exchange of culture, there is an exchange, diba? Mingon tag culture, uh, the customs, no? The way the people actually dress up, the way the people actually live their life day by day, no? Uh, like example, mingon ta sa una, no? Sa una, ang kaning mga babae sa una, or actually, by normally, no, ang mga Pilipino, wala man jud kayo ingon nga nag-aim anang munganyaw jud gawas, no? Sa unang nga panahon, mga earlier 1980s, ana. But now, later then, daghan na kayo ang nag-aim nga moadto og gawas. Nga naman, nakakita man silang silingan nga makaadto gawas, unya, dako na kayo og balay. No? Nahimo ng siminto ang balay, simentado na, and they can actually afford to buy anything that they want. So, ingon ana ang power sa kaning gitawag nito globalized era, wherein the influence is keep on pushing through to the people, no nga, to aim higher, more than what is uh, what is normally demanded for kaning gitawag nato sa pang-adlaw-adlaw nato nga pag kinabuhi. So ang mga tao gid mo paano mga android na maka makabaton og mga butang, makabaton og mga ari-arian ana. So ingon ana ang influence. Now I'm sorry. So now niingon diri, in this lesson we will deal with the ethical challenges and problems brought about by globalization. And in addition to various theories and ethics discussed in this book, we will discuss in the lecture another ideology called pluralism, which has arisen in the age of globalization. So, can you, ang pangutana sir, can we consider pluralism as the product of globalization? Yes, the two are bound together. Mawag gitawag siya globalization and pluralism, because when there is a globalization, when there is an interaction to the people outside sa atong country, when there is an influence of the other people also to the other countries, there is a pluralism that happens. Okay? Ang sa maning pluralism, it is a philosophical doctrine. Now, pluralism is a concept used in many diverse ways, but in general terms, it is the philosophical theory that there is more than one basic substance of principle. So, di ba, take note, more than just a basic substance of principle. Usa may pasabot nila ani sir. Okay, atong himay-himayon, no? Previously, we discussed about Aristotle, the existence of Socrates, the existence of Plato, their principles in life, their philosophies in life. No? As product of philosophy, there's that principle. Now, in a modern period, no? Or kaning gitawag na to sa modern era na, no? There comes Rene Descartes, and so the other becomes a significant contributor about philosophy. All of those people have their own ideas and concept about how to live life, how to live a happy life, how to live a very successful life. So they have their own views on what to work on. Now, the only thing is none of those, since it's just a theory, since it's just a philosophy, so philosophy as a branch of science, of course, it can be a good, it can be a good, kining gitawag nito maayong panag-ingnan para sa ubang tao, and pwede siya bati nga panag-ingnan sa ubang nga tao, because that is not applicable for them, because lahi po ang ilang situation. So ingon ana there is no one basic substance in terms of principles of a good life. What pasabot, walay usa ka keyword nga makaingon nga this is a good life and this is how everybody has to live na naglahi. Okay? So to understand everything, of course, we are going to pursue with this pluralism. So about the mind, the body, and the resources of truth are the basis of morality. So like we, we are bound with different ethical norms. the people, like for example, when you say Roman Catholic, we also have a practice which we derive from, or which we follow coming from the Bible. And the others also, like Muslims, we can never say that we are not following Bible. But the interpretation upon reading those books is mao na ang gihimo nila nga pagkinabuhi sa matag adlaw. So, like sa polygamy system that is being approved to their culture, but sa atua, it's not, since we belong to a very conservative kaayo nga culture, a very conservative kaayo nga ano bang race or kanang gitawag nato og nationality. Ang kita mga Pilipino mostly sa Pilipino mga Christians dili magitaan ng polygamy system one is actually encouraged to find a partner na usa ra ka buok, because that finding another partner would question the genuineness of love or the genuineness of feeling. Okay? Wala po nagitubutan sa Dios. That's what we believe, and for them we have to respect also about that one. So mo na nga atong gitawag sa pluralism, there are the exchange of concepts that happen, there are the exchange of principles that happen, but despite all of those differences, guys, everyone has to arrive with kanang gitawag nato sa word na respect. So sa globalization, it may be defined as the world integration of government policies. Take note, the integration of government policies, cultures, and social movements and financial markets to trade and the exchange of ideas. So we need not to question, why is it that the president, like the current president right now in the Philippines, go to the other country to do negotiations, to discuss everything about security, to discuss also about business, because that's the nature of it. So sa globalized country, of course, everyone has to adapt because of the presence of this technology. Now everything becomes possible, everything becomes dali ra kay buhaton kay tungod sa presence of technology. And with that, undeniably, there is a competition that happens. Tinuod man na class naman gyud tay competition class. Musugot tag sa di class natay competition. Kaning ethics daan natay competition, di ba? The Muslims would say we are the right one, we are what we believe is correct, and this has to be the belief also with the other people. But they cannot actually they isla pwede mamumugos sa ubang mga tao, because the war will arise if they are going to do that one. So hitabo way back sa akong discussion, sugot sa di mabito nang naay separation kaning gitawag og leveling sa kaning countries, where there are first country, second world country, and third world. And sad to say, we belong to the third world country. Ano man, ang ato economic, in the aspect of economic class, dili kita ingon ana kalambok, in the aspect of security, dili ko ta ingon ana sama sa mga uban nga country nga na sila yung mga daghan kay nga mga jet fighter. Other than that, nasad sila yung mga barko nga panggubat. So in terms of kalambuan, mas lambo pa gid sila. So aside kaning gitawag og government policies, what are the happenings, what are the events, this one, because it was actually included in globalization. So sa government policies, if you are going to examine right now in the current event or in the present kaning panghitabo karon, the Chinese are actually taking claims of their 9-dash line, as part of their territorial disputes or sa ilang territorial nga ilang sakupan, but by means of kaning gitawag nato katong balaod sa international law, wala na siya gitahod. Now, sad to say, of course, ang Chinese wala sila muuyon kay deliver sa ilaha. Ang ilang basihan is during the old times pa man, magtabok ang ilang mga barko, So muna, that becomes very unfavorable to them. So munang ilag yung di ko ano, ilag yung di fight na ilaha, which is not correct. So in order not to ensure that there will be no war that will happen, so the undergo na sa mga kaso karon, no? That is actually what happened right now. So in terms of cultures and social movements, the people, the people are not deprived, to communicate and to actually do an exchange of ideas. Just like for example, kita mga Filipinos still we are catering this what we call ESL. Sa ESL, kanang mag-teach tag mga English language, mag-teach tag English sa mga foreign people, especially kaning mga Amerika, Korean and Japanese. So with that interaction to them, with that interaction that happens, we cannot deny nga naa dinay gitawag nato og paano kana bang could be pwede na to ma-adapt. We need to adjust also sa ilang culture. I can still remember before when I was also working as an ASL teacher, nga akong gibuhat classes na gini mga do's and don'ts, nga sir, this is how you're going to treat your student because this is part of their ilang culture na for them sad nga dili sila di sila malain or di sila masuko ana. So na yung mga adaptation, and then when friendship actually begins, kung masuod na nimo nga mga tao, so there's an exchange of idea, there is undeniably na gyud mahitabo, like for example sa pagkaon, we learn to eat also sa ilang mga pagkaon and also sa ilang mga pinulungan. So that actually happens. And even right now, if you are going to apply for a work, going to Korea or going to Japan, before you can go there and before you will get hired, sa imong position nga gi-applyan, of course, you have to study their language. So ingon ana, sa globalization, there is also a pluralism that happened. So kana siya mo sa example sa pluralism, there's an exchange, of everything. So naipangutana before I proceed with my discussion. Yes?
No, sir.
Okay, good. Everything is clear. Okay? So therefore, de-emphasize globalization emphasizes the increasing trans-border or transnational relations which are occurring in the contemporary world. So globalization in effect restructures our social space of geography from one that is mainly territorial to one that is increasingly transnational. Is may pasabot ang nila. So coming from so una we are considered as very territorial. Kaya naman, the people are not encouraged to work abroad. And wala sa ingon encouraged, but the people doesn't have a desire to go abroad, just for a work. Sa una mga panahon, mga earlier 1970s, kapuro mga milyonaryo, may ganahan mo to gawas because they want to experience the kind of living, the kind of life na enjoy sa mga tao kung sa abroad, because bugnaw dito, right now, everything becomes possible. There is that agency who actually offers a process for migration, and then BFA also, even our own government actually nasa sila yung mga agencies who will take care sa mga tao nga ganahan mo go abroad, trabaho abroad. So everything becomes possible. Excuse me. Para tong tutunlan is that. So let's proceed with ito sa problems na ta, So diyan, with other factors to do with the business escalating liberalization of trade in capital markets, more and more governments are declining to protect their economies from foreign competition or influence through import tariffs and non-tariff obstacles like import quotas, trade and export restraints. Pangutana, sir, asa man ang ato ang relationship sir about sa kanang gitawag na to of ethics Okay, the purity, no? The purity of the culture, wherein the people has to consider also that there are limitations that has to be kinahanglan nila no nga i-preserve, no? The cultures that we have despite all of those challenges nga naay mutintal na to or naay something that we need to adjust or to adapt, no, just to blend with the kind of environment that we have, no. uh, kinahanglan no we have to preserve whatever will be the things nga kana ba nga like for example pareha ning atong culture, no, kaning like for example mingon ko kaning pick short, no, ano mga pick short ang mga Korean, no, ganahan kay magsulot ana, no. They introduces that kind of the styles, no, the styles of on how they are going to dress up, no, na kopya sa mga Pilipino. Di kopya sa mga Pilipino. Nice man ang picture kay kanang kuan kayo kanang kasi tawag ana kanang diliigang. Uh, diliigang, but we should not forget no that we belong no to a very conservative culture. Nya sir wrong din na magpicture sir nga mabito na no ang katarungan sa mga tao karon sa una ra man ay panahon pa man na sa Maria Clara karon dili naman di na maron Maria Clara sir. Muna, no? We cannot argue that one. No? Even me personally, I cannot give you mingon ko wrong na or right na. No, it depends on the people. It depends on the person who is actually wearing. Okay, so way back to my discussion, sir, nawala like sir. I would like to encourage everyone no, to have a patience because sorry, nawala gid akong kwantas. But please stand by because napamagyapon ko na. Kadiyot. Kadiyot sa kay klasa. Ano yung cellphone. So, ganda kanta no. Thank you no nga nangunguha gid mo abot. Nangunguha gid mo og sulod kay mag-exam na rabat tapos final exam. Okay, basag ani duting mo kaayo. So muna no, whatever will be things nga imong buhat, there will always be mo na nga, like for example, if nag-wear ka og perfect pick short diha, no? And then ang mingon ang mga tao ni kalain ni ko ano nagsugod ng igat-igat. So you cannot help about the comment of people because for them sa ato among gud no, we are living in a very conservative kaayo nga culture. Kaya mo na nga mga tao na po sila ilang view no when someone is actually wearing that kind of clothes for them that is very inappropriate. So ingon ana ang mga nahitabo. So way back, when does the globalization actually started? So it was believed no nga nagsugod siya after World War II. So diya sa World War II mga if we are going to trace back to the history no, after sa World War II, the Americans actually take over the systems of government that we have. During the time, there was the Commonwealth government was established because that is under the supervision of the Americans. No, do na President si Manuel L. Quezon no, siya may president sa Commonwealth government pero nagyapon with the guidance of the Americans no until such time na gitgaan na gitawag freedom. So Arita, let's discuss about some problems with globalization. So what are the problems? No? Although generally seen as downright good by many economists, globalization, unfortunately, it also has a dark side. So according to author Verberge, enumerates some reasons why globalization is not living up to what is ideally expected of it. And it is in fact a very major problem today. So we have number one, globalization uses up finite resources more quickly. So as an example, China joined the World Trade Organization in December 2001 and 2002. Its coal use began rising rapidly. So in fact, there is also a huge increase in world coal consumption. So sa India's consumption is increasing as well, but from a smaller base. Meaning to say that since we're talking about resources, now we talk about everything. It does not just speak about the coal, but the example here is about the coal, no? Kaning gitawag og uling ba? Kaning uling na actually no, during last time na wala pa uso ang fuel, like mga liquid fuels, mga gasolines, crude oil, kaning gitawag na coal small siya minahon no kani naman na diri sa aldaw sa una before during the Spanish era. So diri ang hitabo plus paspas kayo ang consumption. Why? Anong paspas man sir? Ato lang butang no karon as the sitaw kani karon nakasaka ang ato ang years no. Nagkadaghan ang mga tao. So of course, if there are lots of people, there are lots of consumers. So, daghan man ang consumers, of course, they have to manufacture a lot of mga resources or a lot of mga bisa kung saan, mga sinilas, mga products. So, meaning to say, ang gamit ng resources na to, naida kong posibilidad, no, there might be a scarcity that will happen soon kung dili siya okay? So, tungod sa niya no, atong pagpunay o pagkonsumo sa mga resources, mo bounce back po sa tuwa ang mga gitawag growth of options, no? Mo bounce back sa tuwa mga problems. There will be a problems of everything, a shortage of everything, the food and so on, so forth. And also, napoy mga impact in terms of kaning gitawag nato og mga habitats sa mga animals. Pwede na to sila magambala because of that. Next, we have globalization increase world carbon dioxide emissions. Yes. So atong sabto, no, where does carbon dioxide came from? It came from when it actually releases when you are going to burn a fuel. So kaning fossil fuel use, no, kaning fossil fuel use plus atong applyan of science. So where does the gasoline came from? So obviously And according to science, it comes from the fossil fuel. Where does the fossil fuel came from? Alos mga 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 nangalata nga mga dragon sa unang panahon, mga dinosaur, mga nangalata nga mga sagbot, and it actually takes million years to form. So, can you imagine about that one? So, it is related also kanang gitawag na scarcity of resources. So, million years pa na siya, usa pa siya mobalik niya. Mo na, everyday, nagsi-consume ang mga tao. Now, kaning carbon dioxide emissions also, it's also the product of the kanang gitawag na mga combustions, no? Sa mga kaning smoke belching, no? Sa mga tambutso sa motor, tambutso sa mga pabrika, dagko ang mga tambutso. So, taas ang carbon dioxide rate. Globalization makes it virtually impossible for regulators in a country to foresee the worldwide implications of their actions. So, virtually impossible for regulators in one country to foresee the worldwide implications of their actions. So, meaning, of course, everything is controlled by kaning gitawag internet, no? Grabe kay siya. Everyone has an access. No? Everyone, everything becomes impossible, no? In just a blink of an eye nowadays. Tanda, no? Kaning gitawag cyber pornography. Ang tao pwede na makakita, no? Pwede na makapartap na sa cyber pornography. Dili na misti na mo meet up dito, no? Mo meet up for meeting. Dili na, no? Mo meet up na dito para dili na lang, no? Virtually. Next, we have Globalization acts to increase world oil prices. Ay mga acts, no, nga actually di ba siya gihimo siya, no? Para sa tawag para i-increase, no, ang kaning world oil prices. Now, it happens to be na katong mga country nga nagsupply na, especially katong mga nasa Middle East, they are the biggest contributor of oil man yun sa panigdigang ekonomiya. So with that, part of our problem now is that with globalization, world oil demand is rising very rapidly. Now, let's not forget, Chinese buyers purchased more cars in 2012 than did European buyers. So meaning to say, what happened? Why is it that there is an increase, a rapid increase of world oil prices? Ganun ang tabo mo siya. Nahitabo siya, no? Normally, muna lang gingon, no? Ganihan, no? Ang concept sa economics. When there are lots of people, so of course, there are lots of people who needs resources, who needs goods and products. So therefore, all of the investors has to invest money for negosyo para mo-provide ato mga tawhana. So that's what the Chinese does sa ilang part. Now, next we have globalization, transport consumption of limited supply from developed countries to developing countries. So there's a transfer of supply also. So in terms of nagkakuliki-kuliki ang agi. Why? Atong mga nagkulang, katong mga countries na developing, just like us, we're still, undeniably, if you're going to look it up, still we are developing, sa tuang sistema. So right now, we need the aid of the other countries also to provide kung sa may mga needs na to direct. Globalization sets up a currency race to the bottom with each country trying to get an export advantage without the value of its currency. So sa atong currency karon, ako makita ang economic status can be determined through currency. Kung mosaka ang dollar, of course, meaning to say, us-us ang atong ekonomiya. Pero kung gamay ang value sa dollar, meaning to say, nilambo ang usa ka nasod. Okay? May pangutana kas before everything. I do hope so, no? You have a question? Walay question? Mr. Kalinawan, walay question?
Wala ra, sir.
Okay. Naklaro ra ba ninyo, class? Tulog man yung pag-discuss ninyo, sir? I can still remember ba. I have heard someone, no? I actually witnessed the situation ba ninyo na si ano teacher na okay class, naminaw mo class, sir, naminaw sir, naminaw, sige punta mo. Naman cancel ninyo nga, kamuhain nyo kung hindi mo radyo ha. Nagtabi dyan ko dili, kapoy kayo kong tabi niya. Wala gid mo naminaw, kaya duwa mo cancel sa kong tabi. Anyway, sige lang, no? Di mo gina ma-absorb na to tanan class, no? But it is very important to discuss. No? We play our role, no? As a teacher, and also, we cannot expect perfectly, no? Yung memorize tanan ang among gitabi. But at least the essence were there. You learned something. Anong himo siyang challenge sa ethics. Okay? So, globalization ties countries together so that if one country collapses, the collapse is likely to ripple through the system, pulling many other countries with it. So meaning to say, tinuod dito ni class, you know what, if you are going to examine, and I learned this one also from my teacher before when I was in my high school days, no? He's very good in economics, and ningon siya namo class nga, mo din tinuod class, no? Kaning gitawag og nakakubling kamay ba. Usa po ni siya. Whether you like it or not, or sugot sa dili. No? Kaning mga country like America, sa parang mga country da mga sa Europe, no? Mga European countries. Kaning sila class mo din sila, especially right now, the Chinese becomes one, the second, I think, the second right now, no? Pag-ulang currently, naingon lang ang Chinese na pinaka-second sa kanang pinakadato nga country ba karon, no? Hapit na nila mahilumbaan ang Amerika, no? Hapit na gid nila gamay na lang kay kuwang. We cannot imagine how those country actually paspas kay naka-progress, no? They're very progressive right now. Siguro tungod po sa ilang mga binuhatan in terms of tax evasion, grabe kay cases, no? In terms of kaning drugs, no? Drug trades, daghan po kayo, no? Wala ko mingon na wala na ko gidaot ang China, but that's the reality coming from the kuanded, no? A very reliable account mga news ana. Ang Chinese walay utang sa World Bank, no? World Bank kaning World Bank monetary ba, wala sila utang, no? Unlike sa mga US, all countries, even those countries na naa sa first world country, may utang. So, tinuod mo dyan yung istorya, no? The influence of those countries na anim din ang nature class. You might be surprised, no? May tanong nga, the English language is the medium of instruction. So, may pasabot. But pasabot, di ba, nanong ang Inchik, taduan na ito English. Ang Hapon, taduan na ito in English. Korean, taduan na ito in English. It becomes a nanong dili man ta pwede nga ang Japanese nga language atong tapunon para mahimo na to medium of instruction, no, for everybody, for us to understand each other. Dili. Why? Because kanang Americans daan naka-establish na sila og kining gitawag nato og kuano kaning dungog. So kanang nga dungog class, lisod na siya mapapas because they are the leading country, no, nga in terms of economic, grabe kay kalambo. So it's not a surprise that the people would actually has to adapt or to embrace sa ilang nga ko ano kaning pagtako na English. Na ang ba dili malalis ana jud. You know, that's the reality. So this is also one way na dali ra kayo ta magka sinabot. So we are tied up kung like example, if kaning Americans, no, like simbako palayo lang ba, collapse na siya na country na, especially you are not a friend of that particular country, luoy kay ka mabiyaan jud ka, no? Ay anim gunay no muna, no, there is the play of politics there. Sugot so, sa there is the politics that happen. Mura ko nag ikaw gud og ang imuhang mga amigo, no, naadyo kay best friend, di ba, na kay best friend usa. So once ang imong best friend mo betray na nimo, what will happen to you? So of course, dako kayo pahak ang imong kasing-kasing, no? You know, with that, nanakay doubt to every people nga imong maila-ila, no? Could be magunahon na ka nga, is this someone whom I can trust with my secrets? So inana, no? So inana po ang country. Naay tayo dako na country, good for you if you are sapi ka na nila na country, no? Like for example, if you are a friend with Americans, of course you can expect a help coming from them in terms of tanan, no? In terms of kining gitawag nato of sandata, mga produkto, morning surplus. So ingon ana na in terms of providing an aid also when there are mga calamities that might happen. So ana, but if you are not a friend of that country, of course, luoy kita. So muna siya, ethically, there is a challenge of everything. Now, we cannot also blame those people, no nga, like, mingon tanong nga, papit man mo sa Amerika, papit sunod mo sa Amerika, kung say, ipa isa imong kamot, isa sa mo, isa until, that's the influence of politics. Although, believing, no, by nature, atong sabto ng ethics, sa ethics class, we are bound with freedom. Now, we are bound with freedom. And obviously, we are now free because we are in a country of, we are enjoying a democratic type of government. Yes. By a mere word, pwede na to siya makonsider, no, that we are enjoying a democratic type of government. But we cannot deny the fact na dili gina siya tawag totally na liberty. It's not liberty, class. When you are going to rely someone, and when that someone will collapse, and that could cause you bang to collapse also or to tremble, dili siya matawag og liberty because you can only call that one as liberty as a product of ethics and democratic part of ethics if you are not relying to someone else. No? You are not relying to someone, you're not relying to a help, you're not relying, no? Muna siya, that's liberty. Pero no, you can never say this one as a liberty. No? There's a game on everything. Difficult challenges of globalization. The previous section deals mainly with economic aspects of globalization. So this portion nonetheless contend with their ethical implications and other moral challenges posed by globalization itself. So one criticism as the presently unfolding neoliberal globalization is that it concentrates wealth in the hands of a few, leaving the majority in the condition of poverty. So siguro no, everybody knows about the song Bamboo. Ayan. Paano kita no kana naman kita yung mga paano mga ganahan nga mga kanta. Now, if you are going to ask me also kung siya akong ganahan nga kanta, ganahan ko yung kanta ng Bamboo ka ng Tatsulok. Tinuon mo nagingon nila, no? It's not about red, it's not about blue. No? Ang problem sa kalibutan, no? Whether sa Pilipinas, we're going to actually create a wider view, no? Para inyo ang sige differentiate. It's all about the social pacific government. Now, it's not a coincidence, no, that people are magto na no, ang pangutana dito previously sa atong discussion ingon ta sala ba nga pobre ta, mabuhi ta nga pobre. If you are going to think that one kana ba sala na, no? Practically sala gina siya, no? Kumingon ka atong hikayo ng atong huna, no, nga dili mabati ang atong can you still remember before I asked you if unsay view ninyo sa life is very fair. So I'm so glad to hear people saying that everything is fair, no? The fact that there are mga lacking sa ilang kinabuhi, no? Na dili dato nagliso sa kinabuhi but still we are happy for that. So ingon ana na tuang pag-encourage atong self, no? Knowing that there is the presence of the classifications of the society. Mo na ang dato ni samot ikadato ang pobre sabot ug kapobre. The dato becomes in terms of politics, in terms of power, of business, in terms of the kind of living. Ang mga public, naaragid sa ubos. May lang makadaog kag luto, na ka chance nga mabilong ko ka sa as. Pero out of 100% siguro, mga 5 nga makatabok pa dong taas. No? Ang katong mga 20% na makatabok pa dong rin sa tunga-tunga. Digit mas tabok nga mahimo kong dato ito ayo. Parahanang kahintang na manufacture na. So, ang pangutan asa na dapat ang ginagawa. First, the principles. Not forget the basic. No? Basically, it's the principles because the system of the government is actually a principle. Mabita na ay democratic type, na ay monarchy, na ay communism, na anarchy. It's the principles because for them, that's what they believe that is something. No? That is what they believe that kind of system that could actually improve to the welfare and the life of people living in a particular community or nation. So, mabita na there is a proposal to this administration to convert the type of or to convert the system of the government from a Republican democratic to a federalism. And the people did not actually go for that. No? The people in the Philippines did not go for that majority. Why? In the first place, the people does not understand what federalism is all about. Siguro naalay mga nakasabot itong mga live background. Tanaw, ninyo pila ka dato sa kalibutan o pila ka pobre. Sige, ato na lang ibutang og percentage. Ang dato dito sa kalibutan, butang tag 20%. Ang naa sa mediocre, nakahintang naa sa 30%. Ang pobre, nasa 50%. So, meaning to say, majority is daghan ang mga tao gamay-gamay lang og kaalam, no? Gamay-gamay lang og hibalan. And then, also for them, maglibog sila ana, no? And it is actually something new. That proposal is something new for them, no? Makalive na this would actually become successful na para i-apply din sa para mao sa mga tong sistema sa kinabuhi. Federalism is good, no? If the wealthy people, no, is willing to help and lift up those mga naa sa laylayan. But if mo take advantage sila po, muna delikado. So, siguro nahug na po ba nga by a blessing, people did not actually, na kay ano, tado mo gud ni ang atong country, tado nga dagkay mga kurakot, no, in all forms, in all government agencies, di ginawala ang kayang kurakot, even in a very simple way, no? And I said, how can you assure? Sige, I've been in the service of the government for 2 agencies. Not to mention the agencies, pero itabo klase, you know, sige, dili man kurakot no direkta, areta sa party. Kanang party because there is a big budget. They can actually add people, no, who will attend to the party even if ang kanang mga tao wala na diha. That's a form of corruption. So, no, daghan, so on so forth. Okay. Let's proceed with the version of the ethics in a heuristic approach, no, sa akong book diri. I mentioned this one because Globalization natin istoryahan kasi we talk about the different universal forms. I will just leave you to read about universal values because this is just an add-on sa globalization and pluralism. So, diri no ari pa sa tuwa kaning gitawag of challenge to millennials. So, millennials, sir, actually it's the first time for us to hear that one. Millennials also known as Generation Y, no? Or the net generation. So, are the demographic cohort that directly follows Generation X. Isa man yung mga Generation X. So the term millennials is usually considered to apply to individuals who reach adulthood around the turn of the 21st century. 21st century. So, sa millennials, on the other hand, it is beneficial to understand generation differences due to the conflicts that can arise. BU and Fox 2011 found that due to the differences in values and expectations, conflict is common as millennials enter the workforce. So, mga millennials, kana mga 18, no? Mga 18 niya. Right now, mag-reach na sila 21. Millennials may have difficulty earning respect and credibility from older generations in the workplace. These are some of the challenges of millennials. So, why is that so? Mag-lisod sila. Kaning millennials nga di class, di-refer kaning mga Filipino millennials na for your information. So, nga naman, katong mga younger ones, it would actually lead for them to kanibang gitawag na to in terms of adaptation, in terms of gaining respect from the elders, no? In the system sa pagpanagbaho, lisod man. The millennials have higher levels of anxiety and depression than previous generations. Totoo mo, anak? Would you believe in that? Na ang mga millennials today has a more anxiety and depressions compared to the people who was actually existed during 1990s. Oo mo, anak?
Oo, sir.
Sige. Man mo, tanang ko, what could be the factor? What are the contributors of that anxiety and depression? Kaya, ang sir, ang tani sir niya, nung sa tapaloapan ng pangutana sir mo. Sige, kaya mga millennials mo kasi, belong ka mo sa mga millennials. You belong to the millennium.
Kanang sir, kanang minyo og sayo.
Yes, no? Maminyo og sayo, ano nga, ang inyo given class, mostly class, you're very exposed with gadgets. Sa una class, I can still remember, no? Sa guwangan na din mo sir, no? I am not that old, no? Guwang na dyan kayo. Right now, I am secret, no? I am not that old, no? Pero sa una class, nakagi ko Counter-Strike. Amo ang computer sa una class, kato pang naibuko-buko. Ano ba, naibuko-buko ba? Kuhan ba na, computer? Dili pasama karon na screen na, kanang, sana? Screen na. Sa una na pa, buko-buko. Sa una class, cutting ko sa una. Cutting ko sa una ng Counter-Strike. Binalan ko, bunog ko na sa una class. I was grade 4 that time. Until grade 5. Agi mabukog ka na mga anak with class, no? I with all of those experiences that I have in life, no? During sa mga previous years, no? I am very thankful, no, that I grow with, wisdom. Magialamon, like I'm not saying that I am kanabang knowledgeable, but the wisdom that all of those experiences have taught me a lot, no, to become a better version of me as I grow older right now. So muna siya, no? Ang giingon diri technology. So the use of technology has also provided a negative value to the millennial generation because they now expect to have an instant everything. May giingon diri class. With internet speed providing instant access to any answer, this generation now expects to have an instant answers and instant feedback. Karon kuno class, ang mga generation kuno sa millennials class, ganahan ko no, because right now, no, you are actually exist man mo, no, in the age of technology. Ang mga estudyante, not necessarily student, but ang mga millennials karon ganahan sila og kanang instant dayon access, no? Like for example, in terms of giving an assignment, ang uban, tagaan na mong assignment insights. Search this Google, insights to copy, paste, send then share. Tuom kay di nabasahon ni sir. Yate ra di basahon na pila ra gud ka buok ng estudyante. Basahon man na ko. Actually, mao na nga I take time during Sunday. I always read all of those outputs that was submitted by the students. And mabuti na naghatag ko group breaks. So na nako class, na other than that class, na ba feeling no, tinuod sad ni siya. Yan, ingon ang book dili class. I agree this one no, in my own personal opinion. I agree this one nga ganahan po ng mga estudyante o kaning instant access to answers. No? Especially like for example, mangutanas la no, mangutanas la sir. Sir, actually sir, wabi ako kasubmit sa akong answer kay wa ko load. Nga mingon din nga ma-frustrated din ba kami mingon din taka sir, wagi tan-awa ang PM nyo. Buang ni sir. Normal na tuhan. Ha? Wala ko no? Siguro wala mi kabalo no. Wala mi kabalo kay wabi ata nagka-oba no. Pero na siguro mo estudyante no mo ana ba nga animal man siya. Ano siya gini siya sugot na mo paso arter po na siya. Buang ministro ka no. Ano ba no? Na demand, there's that demand. Why there's an influence no? External influence coming from kanang technology karon no. Nagganahan ang estudyante paspas kayo. Yeah, there comes the teacher also who is ganahan sa paspas mo sa estudyante nga. Oy, kanang you have to submit your one on by tomorrow. Tomorrow what mag-email kami sir ay sa samot. Nag-augma mingon din sir. Haka sir, oy may signal sir.
Lagay.
ang ako yung ikaribat ako yung ikatubag why not submitting your output or doing your output earlier than the deadline? Katawa ako class. Pero I appreciate no ang hapon na ako gi-post ninyo ay one na ako gi-post ba sa sorry dide kamo sa akong 3A1 ba. Sige. Okay, this is your activity. You have to submit this one by tomorrow, 12 midnight. Oy, halak. Kuyawa ka na ay pagtan-aw ko nako karong buntag was tinuod gid kas nga na submit gid sila kas lima ka book di mo sa ingon pagkuan kas no but I am just sharing this one to you kay na surprise ko ba pagtan-aw bit nako kas tinuod magid kas nga dili biya gid kinopya og Google ako hindi basa ba nagi mga kanabang mga English dito gud nga mga kuan nga bisa kuan yun no kanabang dibuhat din nila ba ako believe na hinong ko mura sad nung kung nakakuan ako dili kita nan estudyante na nagi mga pipila ko pero I appreciate no nga na ang sistema. Okay, so alin na sa kuan no anyway I will be providing copy kay kani magud nga book karon mo ang share nito ako na sang gi-appeal class because this is something also maka-help ninyo no ngano days ngano kada no so day ang difference sa mga generation. Okay, Mr.
Morning,
Jordan,
sir. Karon po ko, sir. Sorry, sir.
Bakit ngayon ka lang by audio kasi
Ulan-ulan mo ko diri, sir.
uy aso dapitan na ka Afrika ayag mo lagi diri kaya George hayag mo George. Sige lang no. Anyway, George, ako na siyang gi-record. So, I will also be forwarding this one. Ikaw na ay, pop up asa ka dapita. Kala cover up, okay? Okay, so ako na lang ng i-edit show class, no? I will continue with the role of religion and ethics. Sige. Religion is one of the more frequent mentioned, no? Also my response sa religion about all of this kanang globalization and pluralism, a challenge to ethics, kanang gitawag na to global injustice. Okay, naman na no, kalamak kayo no kanang bang mamintaha no, na mga pamintaha, na mga patay-patay no, na mga gubat, no, ay mga pornography, kanyo no. Hugaw ang katilingban. Also may response sa religion. So, of course, we have to understand also, no, basically, what is a religion, no? Religion is one of the most or more frequent mentioned determinants of the moral values. So, previously, Mingon tanong mo tanata, what are the determinants or where does the values actually started or originated. So, mingon sa una no, coming from the family, coming from the religion, and coming from the school. So karon ang atong giistoryahan is religion. So the major world religions no have moral teachings and in various ways indicate disapproval of unethical actions. So most of them teach that an omniscient God observes human actions and holds people accountable for their actions. Hindi ko say mo ganano nga mutuo tanong nga mingon ta nga pananglitan ang inyong uyab no inyong uyab no mingon din sugod nagkalikoy ba mingon na kanang oy Jesus kanang dili sa ta mag-date next Sunday ha kay actually dahil kay activities kahan na pagtan-aw nimo pagkabuntag takwahaw lang dayon pagka Monday di ito na siya picture nga niadto dito o kanang siya tawag kanang naa sa naga gani yes kuan man ako biwok na dito sa biwok may picture mga tanan no kung sa di ka sa biwok kasi kasi di kuyog mo iya pang gikutaw-kutaw yung tiil sa dagat sa biwok kay kuan man kanamang lawman kauban man mabot gid yung tiil mutana na ka kasi di kuyog nimo day ni atuloy kag biwok siya actually ako ra man usa nya kasi mo ga picture niya no kami mga tao nga nana no kana ba nga they're not they are going to kalang justify ba or they're going to ba kana bang reason out dili nila they're not going to think it logically ba nga sila ra kunong usa nya picture na ay pinagpa-picture sa dito ni Agis Biwok nadaghan na picture no anyway I will continue no so muna nga therefore it is logical to assume that adherence to our religion would be less tolerant of unethical behavior meaning to say of course when you are pasabot ni class no nga when you are very adherent kayo sa ato ang kana bang spiritual no na kalihukan o kanibang like example physical simba like example when you're going to kaning reflect kano about sa mga word of wisdom sa Dios mas dili ka prone nga makasala to mo anak kas
Dili sir.
Dili ka mo to ngalan dili ka mo to
May uban sir nga
Sige.
gasimba-simba lang kuruwa day sa una.
Dita na tinood dita na nabito ang uban manimba pero dili na sila wala na sila paduol no? ang acto nila is simba but the motive is lahi pero atong atong incorporate an act of motive so of course when you are going to perform that like sa inyong spiritual kalihukan simba no tinuod no maka-help di siya no personally ako maka-help man siya pero lain-lain lagi ang tao kay mo I respect sad sa imong view. So this is because religion tends not to emphasize the role of critical and independent thinking, which is important in developing a sense of ethical responsibility. So sa religion mo good class, it's not more on about it's not more on about the freedom that is bound with the human existence. Sa religion mo man mingon dito nga anything no pwedeng bisag kung sa imong hunaan no pwede nimo buhaton sa religion is always emphasizing no always siya nga nakuan sa mga author sa Bibles no unsa ilang mga very inspiring kay nga mga binuhatan during their time how they actually overcome those challenges nga though knowing no nga buta na to may opportunity to commit mistakes no but instead yang gipili no nga siya tawag ani mas magdaugon ang kaayuhan sa iyang hunahuna o kasing-kasing so ingon ana mo emphasize diri ingon diri aga give a list of do's and don'ts that the faithful needs to follow but it does not provide much explanation as to why these rules should be followed tinuod man no the Bible does not emphasizes or stated a very like example ningon ta nga ningon na ang Bible nga dili man siya dili man siya matawag og kawat like example kita ka so that to swara ni 5 dili pa na kawat no dili pa na bugat nga kawat wala ning nana ang Bible, no? Very specific kay ang Bible. Ningon ang Bible na dili specific but general, sorry. Very general kayo. Ningon ang Bible dili mangawat. So any form, bisan pag sintabos pa na, sa pagsinkura na, basta imo nang gikuha without the permission or without the knowledge of the person, that is an act of saman pangawat, di ba? Sige. Dili manapaw. Dili mo panghinaoton ang mangga sa tao. Sige, dili manapaw. Ingon ka na napaw ningon ka no nga hay kuan no pwede magdunga pwede magdungan og paniudto nimo pero minyo na ka ha nya mingon nitong babae matando ko siya sige binhor no magdungan tag paniudto gabot ito sa karinderya imo ding kana no imong librihan ana no mangutana din kami mingon din na din mga tabi-tabi sa mga tao si kuan ba kay kita na gito nako nay babae dito kuyog siya paniudto ngayon pa diyang asawa nga ngano magka nga namo ko ni nakakita nimo dito nga ni kuyog ka kay kuyog babae do ng paniudto sugod na kagkabuang no? Sugod na gagluib ana din siya wala mo gud mo man taga Malaysia kuyog man ni paniudto pero of course para nimo wala ra to pero para sa mga tao pwede ba siya tagaan o no? Because you accepted and you welcome that opportunity no na imong gidawat na pwede mo magpuyo pwede na mahimong bating tan-aw no especially if imong asawa kita ang ondaan so it's wrong no still it's wrong mo na ang sa hinubad sa ato ang religion especially sa ato Roman Catholic takabaloan ang mga belief sa mga Muslims takabalo kung sa paagi nila so we will just stick on the Bible na ato ang kaugalingon nga Bible no so ingon ana no ang emphasis in terms of the act and the motive no pwede kay siya nga makuan ka no hagsa ka it's either it's not your motive but the act itself would speak no nga murag inana so mura mahug nga hagsa ka. So, a different perception from different people's judgment emphasizes that religions can help somewhat as a guide. But in the end, we must think for ourselves in which we should develop the ability to justify things and weigh what's right aligned on our beliefs. There's a spectrum about how religion and ethics are related. So religion is the absolute bedrock of ethics, the one that holds that ethics is based on humanistic assumptions, justified mainly and sometimes only by appeals to reason. Mabitaw ko nga philosophy no way back we mentioned about philosophy and obviously there are 5 branches of philosophy it was later then no na nakun-an usa dire include gyapon no though logic is a separate kanang gitawag nato no nga separate siya nga branch from ethics but still the two will go together and kaning logical no saning sa ingon tao views no? The wider spectrum of views about how religion and ethics are related so diri no ang i-emphasize diri is diun sa pagtakdo sa religion and ethics now can we consider the religion as part of ethics ayo kalimot no atong balikan what is ethics highest standard of morality speaks about moral act no arita sa religion what are the teachings of religion about moral act so the two will go together but what made it different is ang religion lain man no we have Taoism we have Hinduism so lain no those are big religions lain mo na ang lain of perception what is a moral act and what is a right actions and a wrong actions because could be at some point no there might be mga perceptions there might be kanang practices no nga para nato sakto sa uban sayo okay and what only appeals all of those things to become right is by means of reasons mabita na the Muslim themselves Mingon sila no nga, excuse me class, kaning polygamy system, no? For us, dili man ta, uyod, no? Dili man ta mga sawag daghan, but sa ilaha, pwede, no? As long as, according to their reason, as long as you're financially capacitated, no? Or financially, makabuhi ka na nila, no? You can actually give them a decent kind of living or life, no? Okay ra gyud, no? Why problema? So muna, ingon ana ang ilang view, and we cannot argue them about that one. Now, let's proceed. The two extremes tend to be argued in a way that offers little room for compromise or pragmatic solutions to real issues we face every day. The relationship between religion and ethics is about the relationship between revelation and reason. So, revelation, what is this? The revelation is the happenings, no, from the past. Revelations nga di-emphasize diri is about the real existence of those omniscient God. Ito bang dili makita, the source of infinite power, no? Mo'y naa diha. And the reason. So diha, no, diha magka takdo, no? Though mingon ta, no, everyone will argue about the existence of God. But when someone is being asked, ato mga tan-aw namin yan, aritas mga atheist class, mga atheist class, they don't believe that there is a God. And mostly, ang mga scientist class, they don't believe that there is God, no, that exists. But, di po kabuot nila anak, no? But one thing is for sure, no? If there is no such thing, or there's no such that kind of someone, no, na nilungtad, why is that so? Na may mga butang wala pa ma-explain sa science. Where did those things actually came from? Diba? So, sa ethics though, there are highest standard of morality. There are moral actions, there are specific sets of norms, no, naa sa society. Ang pangutana, kung ato siyang i-version sa Bible, dili ba siya makabias? Makabias. Because not all people actually parihag belief nimo, no? Parehaning mingon ta. For example, arita sa tong balaod. Sige, tinaw man kayo, no, ang 10 Commandments, no, ni Moses, no, gihatag sa Dios sa tipan sa bato. Ngano naghimo ko man ta constitution, no? Ngano naghimo ko man ta og kining ang constitution, nanong nga constitution? Why does the constitution exist? Because logically it aims to unite the differences, especially the differences in terms of belief, in terms of religion. Kay og ato ara pirmi hitan ang atong balaod, no? Kanang pagtahod sa balahod, part naman siya sa 10 Commandments, kanang ayaw liko diha, no? Kay di na pwede, no, entry na diha, no? Di lang specific, pero di-encourage ang tao sa Dios nga mununot sa pagtuman, magmatinumanon, nya sa pagmatinumanon kuan man, supak man. So of course, ang constitution, ang balaod, coming from the ethics, no? Being the highest standard form of morality. Pero, muna, we cannot actually apply, no? Kaning ako ang belief sa uban, it's because mahimong buhot, no? Kaya mahimong siyang bias. Now, religion is based in some measure on the idea that God, the Supreme Being, reveals insights about life and its true meaning. So, if Socrates, if Aristotle, if Plato, and Rene Descartes, and St. Thomas Aquinas, and so on and so forth, actually emphasizes or actually give their principles and views about how to live life happily, how to live life more meaningful, samot na ang God, no? The Bible itself speaks on how we are going to live our life in a day-to-day, no, na pagkinabuhi. So these insights are collected in texts like Bible, the Torah, and Quran, and presented as revelation. So ethics from a strictly humanistic perspective is based on the tenets of reason. So Canadian ethics class is based on the tenets of reason. Yes, that is definitely, no. Mabita na nga ang ethics, mabita na ingon, no, nga para sa mga Muslim, ganang sila muminyo o daghan by means of reason as long as we are financially capacitated, pwede. Oh. So muna, mo na lang reason. We cannot argue about that one. Kung imo na argue, mapatay siya. No? Magbuot man ka. Oh. Siya nga nung magbuot ng guys, so, mo man na yung pagtuo. Wala din nila buot, kung mo lang mo. Kung dili, magbuot ka ni. Mo na, no? So, instead, these principles are upheld for their value in promoting independent and responsible individuals who are capable of making decisions and maximize, no, well-being while respecting well-being of others. Dire, no? Maximize. Yung kita maximize class, ang understanding ba, di palakdan, no? You also have to understand that there is the presence of people, no, nga kinahanglan ko nato nga irespeto ang ilang existence. Kaya mahitabo ko class kung ang ato arang gituuhan may sakto, lisod, no? Lisod kayo na mahitabo. Okay? So, if the religious and secular ethics don't derive their authority from the same source, we still must find a way to establish common ground between them. Otherwise, we're condemning ourselves. So, may gipasabot diri nga gibilin. There is a conflicting, no, there is a conflicting view of religion and ethics. There are some, not all, but some. Kaya tungkol sa religion, the religion is very specific, but not all people are actually having the same religion, and they are not sharing the same belief. So sa ethics class, being the highest standard of morality, wala siya discriminate, wala siya gitanggal, wala siya gitangtang, no, nga kanang nga siya tawag instructions, wala siya gitangtang, wala siya exemptions, no. Ang iyaha is they considered everything, the belief of everyone, and what is good for everybody. Dili lang sa majority, but for everybody ang istoryahan ani. Meaning to say, it's because nagstorya man siya for everybody, kinahanglan natay balanse nga pagkaton sa ethics and at the same time balanse sa spiritual, which is the religion, no? Para mahimo tang hangtong nga tao, mahimo nga maalamon nga tao, and for us to be able to to control, no, ourselves, no, especially if that is something that is opportunity. So there might be an opportunity that may arise na pwede mo maglalis, pwede mo magbangi. It's because imo man gi-prevail imo ang pagtuo, no? So ingon na ana. Okay? So I hope you learned something, no, for today. Any question ka so far before I dismiss?
No more, sir.
Sir.
Tinaw ra ba class?
Well explained.
Okay na, sir.
Extend. Tinaw na sir. Kaya ang sir ay gutom na sir. Tinawan lang na sir. Ito. Sige, no? Class, reminding everybody to please follow the schedule, no? Ang atua karon class ay sa kadita until unsa gani karon class until 11 man ta, no?
Sir.
Until 11 ta, no? So, atua lang class, log out lang mo nga unya na ha. Kaya sa iyo pa karon to log out. Okay?
Okay, sir.
And then class nato maghatag ko gamay activity class to follow. Okay? Gamay ra.
Okay, sir.
Gamay ra kayo.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.